Welcome back to the Review Space. This is episode 2 of Beatbox Sessions. That's right, the only, first ever, Beatbox exclusive podcast. Well, you know what? I actually don't know if this is the only Beatbox podcast in history. I'm just gonna claim it right now. The only Beatbox podcast in history by the Review Space. Heck yeah, I'm claiming it. But you know what? Enough with the intros. Let's begin with more beatboxing sounds. And in this episode, I actually want to focus more on wrestling, professional wrestling, as a big time, former wrestling fan, and I've been a fan of it since I was a kid in the 1990s. So let's try to do some beatbox wrestling themes. Hold on, let me think. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? Think you could tell us what to do? Think you could tell us what to wear? Well, you better get ready. Bow to the masters. Break it down. Generate just something for. We just got tired of doing what you told us to do. What's the break, boys? That's the break. That's the breaks, little man. Break it down. Degeneration X. Degeneration X. I always thought those guys were RATM, Rage Against the Machine. For some reason, I don't know why I thought they were Rage, but and then you got other theme songs like another theme that I loved from the Attitude Era was this one, Gangrel, The Brood. Oh, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Dun 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 dun. Oh, get ready. Dun 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 dun. I think I'm doing that wrong. I think like that part, dun 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 dun. It needs to be a little bit more like that, more high pitched. Hold on, let me clear my throat for a second. Who is this guy? Wait a minute. You're that guy. You're that ECW guy. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I know, that's a terrible Paul Heyman. My name is Paul Heyman, and I am the advocate for the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. All the way from Suplex City, Brock Lesnar. I forgot to include the scratches. The DJ scratching. Goldberg, Goldberg. There's no beat to that. There's no beat to that. That's just a pure orchestral. I'm adding beats for no reason. Unnecessary. There's many different beatbox themes. Different wrestling themes that I've attempted to beatbox over the years because, a lot of the wrestling themes are catchy. The Rock is one. That's a classic. Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? The Rock says, know your ropes, shut your mouth. The Rock says, know your ropes, shut your mouth. And he also, there's many different versions of The Rock's theme. At the beginning, he had different theme songs. I think when he first debuted as Flex Cavana, he had a different theme. And then when he became part of the Nation of Domination, that was a different theme, of course. And then he kind of had his own. It's funny because his main theme that we hear now, the if you smell what The Rock is cooking. That one evolved from do you smell what The Rock is cooking? But even before that, it was just like the Nation theme. Because his Nation of Domination theme was like, we are the Nation of Domination. Nation of Domination. We are the Nation of Domination. Nation of Domination. We are the nation, and that theme was like, that was the stable theme, and then when The Rock split off on his own, he became more of a solo guy. Then that sort of morphed into, his intro would be like, you smell what The Rock is cooking? That it was very similar to the rhythmic Nation theme, that drums, that slow boom 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 boom. And so that was The Rock's early solo theme, and then that would evolve into the more iconic do you smell what The Rock is cooking? Actually, I think even before that, even that one is a more later version. The Do You Smell What The Rock Is Cooking theme was more, at the beginning it was more similar. Again, the drum pattern was kind of like the Nation theme. That it would have like that. It would have a little bit of that, I don't know, like a guitar twang to it. A little bit of a soul kind of, I don't know, like a funky kind of vibe to it. I still remember that. But that's my favorite, rock theme song. The Do You Smell What The Rock Is Cooking? Because that was The Rock at his peak, in his prime. The part when I really loved The Rock and I really marked out to him. I thought he was like the best wrestler in the world. That was when he was awesome. He was The Rock, and he was so badass, and he would make fun of everybody, and it doesn't matter what your name is. He had a really deep voice, he had the shades, the sideburns, the $500 Versace t-shirts, and he was more of like an anti-hero, and he would make fun of everybody. And so that was an awesome time to be a fan, back in like 99. So around that time, and then they changed it to, if you smell what the rock is cooking. And it was more of an actual like rock instrumental, as opposed to the more, I guess you could argue it was more kind of hip-hop, more of a slow hip-hop vibe with the Nation and his do you smell what the rock is cooking theme. So I definitely I miss that theme, and it really sucks because he hasn't used that theme since like the late 90s. We're talking about like 18 years ago, and that really sucks. I really do miss the Attitude Era. Best time to be a wrestling fan by far. It was such an awesome generation to be a part of, to witness. Stone Cold in his prime, 97, 98, and then The Rock in his prime, 90, 99, early 2000. Yeah, and then he even had like a Method Man theme. I remember that. That was just a very brief, I think he only used it one time, maybe once. I know he did it once. He had it once, maybe twice, but I don't even think he used it twice. I know he did it one time on a SmackDown episode, and it was basically just to promote it was like an album. What was the album? WWF Aggression. That's the one. WWF Aggression was basically this compilation of rap theme songs. They were wrestling theme music, but done by rappers. And WWE did that back in the day. They would have like a metal theme song, a metal CD full of metal covers. So like hard metal or hard rock or metal covers of the wrestling themes at the time. And then they would also have the rap Aggression CD, the Aggressions CD, and Method Man did the Rock theme song. And that was a really cool theme. I forgot, how did it go again? Oh yeah, so he would go, do you smell what the Rock is cooking? It's cooking. And it would kind of like, it would repeat over and over again. It would loop over and over again, like, it would just loop again and again and again. Do you smell what the Rock is cooking? It's cooking. Do you smell what the Rock is cooking? And it's kind of like hyping it up, building up the Rock. So it was a very long intro. Probably the longest intro theme that he has in any of his theme song, aside from the helicopter one when he came back as a Hollywood Rock, which we're gonna get to that a little bit later. But yeah, when the Rock did when he had the Method Man theme song, yeah, do you smell what the Rock is cooking? It's cooking. And I think that was Method Man was probably saying that it's cooking part, like he would repeat it. It's cooking. Do you smell what the Rock is cooking? It's cooking. And then he would finally drop, like the beat and everything. It's like, yo, finally the Rock has come back, laying down the smack on your monkey crap candy coated ass. Step into the circle. Step into the squared circle with the great one. The most electrifying moves don't touch the station. Children and their children, they all chant upon the millions upon millions of rock fans. Get ready for the square dance. Here's your chance to take an candy ass kicking, candy ass whooping from the people's champion. If you smell what the Rock's cooking. I'm trying to remember the actual instrumental. It was like a hip hop beat, like a typical hip hop. Late 90s production hip-hop beat. How does it go? Yeah. I mean, it had a bit of that epic, I don't even know. It wasn't like violins, but it had that epic, almost like a synthesizer sound, finally the rock the bug guy. Finally the rock is come back, playing the smack on your monkey cap, can it over that fast? If you smell what the Rock's cooking. That one is very difficult to beatbox too, because that one has a certain melody to it, or a certain style to it that's very electronic, or very produced, very post-produced, again, like a late 90s very produced type of hip-hop beat. Kind of like a Timbaland beat, or a Neptune's beat. I think even like a Timbo beat or a Neptune's would be easier to beatbox than that particular, because that one was probably more like a Swizz Beatz. Swizz Beatz has more intricate, not even intricate, but he had more difficult beats to like reproduce via beatbox, because he would have the high pitched like synthesizer sound, or sound that was similar to like a synth, like a synth type of sound. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you have Austin, other wrestlers, Stone Cold Steve Austin, I mentioned him before. And it's funny, like with Stone Cold's theme song in the Attitude Era, he had, what is it, Hell Frozen Over or something like that, When Hell Freezes Over, or Hell Frozen Over, the very iconic, and you know, you gotta have the glass shattering in there too. It's like I like that one because that's like pure instrumental. It's just a beat. You know what I mean? There's no lyrics, there's nobody singing, there's no vocals. So that's very easy to duplicate. And it has a certain swagger to it, or a certain vibe, rhythm to it, where it's very slow and methodical, but like it has a badass, you know, like Austin walking down the ramp. It really fits him. And that one, when that was produced, I think it was by Jim Johnston, the legendary Jim Johnston, who made a lot of the iconic wrestling themes over the years. That one, according to Stone Cold himself, I heard him talk about this on his, I think he talked about it on a podcast, or an interview. And he talked about how he got that idea, that sound, from a Rage Against the Machine record. I think it was called, what was it called? Not Killing in the Name of, oh my god, I'm forgetting the name. It was from like 96, I think. Yeah, what was it? Oh my goodness, what was it called? It's escaping my head right now. The one where it's like, yeah. Like the intro was very similar to what Hell Frozen Over would become, Austin's theme song. And that was based on the Rage Against the Machine record. I'm trying to remember the name again. It's so pathetic that I can't remember. Something Bullets? Was it Bullets? Oh my god. Elephant? Something to do with elephants and bullets. Oh my god, what was it called? Oh my goodness gracious. I really have to kick myself in the pants for forgetting. I just can't believe I'm forgetting. I know the record, you know what I mean? Like, I remember the joint. Let's see, hold on. Let me type it in the thing. Rage Against... Oh, there you go. Bulls on Parade. Bulls on Parade. That's the one. Bulls on Parade! Bulls on Parade! Bulls on Parade! That was very influential. That was basically what the Austin theme was based on. I called it Elephant something. Or Bullets. Yeah, Bulls on Parade, that's the one. Which is a great song too. I mean, Rage Against the Machine is so influential when it comes to like wrestling themes, when it comes to pop culture, when it comes to just being like a well-respected, very memorable, highly regarded, like critically acclaimed rock band from the 90s. Rage Against the Machine they were it. They're probably the best overall rock band of the 90s in terms of consistency and amazing music and incredible rock songs and different music. That they sound different, and you know, they sounded really kind of ahead of their time. You know, their music is just kind of timeless. You know, like their music from the early 90s, like 92, like Wake Up. Wake Up sounds so good even to this day. Like, that song is still so badass and hardcore and raw and amazing. I know they used it on the Matrix soundtrack. Wake up! Wake up! Oh, wait, no, that's not even... How does it go again? When, the ending of the Matrix, and, that was a really, really sweet, piece of rock right there. Rage, they would have to be number one. I mean, as far as comparing them to anybody else, I can't think of another rock band that was as good as them, in terms of like having the amazing, high-quality songs. I mean, I love Korn. Korn is probably my favorite overall band from the 90s, and I love them. Probably the best new metal band. I love the Deftones. There's another one. The Deftones would be up there too. I love the Deftones as well. But Rage Against the Machine, I think, is just overall the best rock act from the 90s that became prominent during that decade. They would have to be number one. And they're not my favorite. They're not my number one favorite. Like, I would pick the Deftones over them. I would pick Korn over them. Maybe even like Smashing Pumpkins, but those guys were just amazing as far as just pure sheer quality and their music influencing like later generations, and right there in the middle of the 90s. So going back to wrestling theme music, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go back to like the 80s. I know in the 1970s they never really had that kind of extravagant kind of production. They never really had theme entrances. I'm sure like in the past, maybe the 1960s or the 1950s, like I heard there were wrestlers in the past, like old school wrestlers from the 50s or 60s that had some kind of music. I'm sure they must have, some kind of entrance theme or some kind of, like a grand entrance. Maybe they played like classical music or something, or orchestral music. It wouldn't surprise me if like the Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, or who's the other, not even Buddy Rogers, but the other one, the other Nature Boy. Oh my God, what's the other one? They had like some kind of orchestral music probably. It wouldn't surprise me, but it just wasn't that common. It didn't become common until the 1980s with acts like what's the Bad Street USA guys, the Fabulous Freebirds. So they started using theme songs. I think they might have used Lynyrd Skynyrd. I'm not quite sure, because I didn't grow up in the 80s. I didn't watch 80s wrestling, but they might have used Lynyrd Skynyrd. And you got the Freebirds, and then you had other acts as well. You had other wrestlers that did it around the 80s too. Of course, Hogan had Real American. When it comes crashing down and it hurts to, I'm a real American. Fight for rights on for free man. Yeah, that's great. Very catchy, very catchy. Very 80s for sure, and that's an iconic theme, you know what I mean? And Hogan himself, I mean, he had a really catchy one too in WCW when he turned heel, you know what I mean? He had that, I think it was it Jimi Hendrix? the Jimi Hendrix. That's all you really needed to hear. When those drum strings would, the first like couple of notes would hit, and he would enter that massive WCW arena, thousands of fans just hearing that music blaring in the WCW sound system. Oh, it was incredible. And that's another example of like 60s, early 70s culture kind of coming back in the 90s. Because that's what it was in the 90s, was that they used a lot of like like 70s kind of themes, 70s, maybe late 1960s. So a lot of psychedelic, people wore tie-dye t-shirts, psychedelic imagery. People wore these the high heel kind of platform shoes, kind of similar to I guess what the 1970s like disco style. The British style, the Britpop style, you know what I mean? The music scene, of course, had a lot of 70s influence coming back. A lot of 70s iconography and late 1960s imagery and stuff like that. Oasis and those kind of bands. I know Madonna. Madonna was a perfect example with her pseudo-psychedelic thing with, like the Austin Powers soundtrack and all that stuff. So wrestling also got a little bit of that. In WCW especially with oh my god, like Disco Inferno is a perfect example. Disco Fever, yeah, 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 Disco Fever. And he just had like a disco theme song, you know what I mean? It was just a disco beat, like a disco track. It could have been released in like 1975 or something, or in 1977. During the time when, you had like the Bee Gees and Staying Alive, Staying Alive, ah, 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 Staying Alive. I can't even do that theme. It's really simple too. Like you can't tell me by the way I walk. But yeah, by the 90s, Disco Inferno and Hogan using the Jimi Hendrix joint, and in WWF also, WWE, they had Mick Foley had the gimmick, what the hell, Dude Love. Dude Love was another one, hippie, late 1960s, the Flower Power, Soul Child, and crap like that, so late 60s, maybe a little bit of early 70s, so there was a little bit of that influence too in WWE, WWF, where you had Mick Foley doing Dude Love, and he was kind of like, again, tie-dye t-shirts, psychedelic. He looked like a guy from, Woodstock, late 1960s Woodstock. And what was his music again? Hey, 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 Dude Love, Dude Love. I remember that crap. Dude Love, Dude Love. Yeah, oh my goodness. And even, like, you could even argue, like, The Rock. The Rock had a little bit of that retro look because he had the Elvis sideburns, he had the shades, he had the really gaudy t-shirts, the colorful, expensive t-shirts. So he had a little bit of that Elvis vibe going on, And Elvis was popular back in... I guess he was popular in the 50s. 50s to the early 1970s. And then I think he ended up dying in the 1970s, if I'm not mistaken. So, I guess a little bit of that, like, 70s Elvis vibe, he had that going on, you know what I mean? He had a little bit of that, at least in terms of the look. And I know that even The Rock himself would sing kind of like Elvis. Well, since baby's Rock left him, will he find a new place to dwell? Well, it's down at the end of Jabroni Drive at Smackdown Hotel. So he would sing a little bit too, so it had a little bit of that influence. I'm trying to think of more like beatboxing themes that I could beatbox. I like Taz's theme song. Taz had a great theme song, and again here we are again with like 70s coming back. Taz's theme in ECW, I almost said WCW, in ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, was it the Kiss song, Destroyer or something like that? Destroy? That one, Destroyer, and that one was the Kiss song. Kiss was popular in the 1970s. So, Paul Heyman's company, ECW, they would use some of the music that they would use would be based on old music, music from the past. So then you have somebody like Taz, and so his theme song was this like really epic, slow down version of the the Kiss song, the Kiss Destroyer, you know. So it'd be like, you know, survive if I let you. Survive if I let you. And then that would go on. And that was a really, what an awesome entrance song. So epic. It felt like the world was coming to an end, like a post-apocalyptic type of scenario, you know, like explosions everywhere, buildings being blown up, like it was like Mad Max or something, you know what I mean? So that was tremendous. And then when he went to WWE in the, I guess it might have been the late 90s or early 2000s. I think it might have been 2000, like 2001 or 2000, when he finally made it to WWF, Vince McMahon's company, and then they changed it, and his music was a little bit different, and it was a little bit more, it was an original production, but it wasn't as epic, I think, as his ECW theme. It just didn't have that feel, but it was still kind of badass, and it was still kind of, it still carried a bit of an aura to it. And I mean, it had like a heartbeat or a heart monitor thing going, like doot doot doot. Even before that, I think it was more of a heartbeat, like just a doot 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 and then it would continue with a heartbeat, heart monitor thing, like do do do. Yeah. So there was a lot of build up to Taz's theme song, which is what I liked about it. You know, I kind of like that whole build up thing where, you know, heart monitor, heart racing kind of thing, and then the drums would kick in, and then it would have a little bit of that guitar would kind of like strum a little bit in the background, and then it would hit it, that bam 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 bam, and it would really get going. So very cool stuff, very cool. That's definitely one of the best ones. And speaking of like more like rock based theme song, I can't forget about the Ultimate Warrior. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we're talking about, oh god, late 1980s, late 80s, early 90s. I know he's been around since the late 80s, like when he joined WWF back in the day. And he had a good theme song. I mean, I kind of dug it. You know, I didn't grow up. I never grew up on the Ultimate Warrior as a kid, you know. But over time, just listening to his music over and over again throughout, when I discovered him, it was awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, his theme song is really catchy. That you know. And then it would just go on. Very simple, very simplistic, very easy to replicate and duplicate, because again, you're talking about just a very straightforward repetitive like loop. You know, that theme song could just go over on and on and on and over again, and it just wouldn't end. I'm trying to think of other ones. I mean, you know, Macho Man Randy Savage has a good one, but that's your typical like orchestral or classical thing, you know. You know, the graduation theme song. I know they played that in my graduation back in 2005. High school grad, 05. But what I did like was in the late 2000s when TNA started putting Jay Lethal in a Macho Man gimmick. You know, he had the Black Machismo gimmick, which was basically just a tribute or a ripoff of the Macho Man Randy Savage gimmick. They gave him like a hip-hop, like a funky hip-hop style theme song of the Macho Man, the Macho Man theme, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, do 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 do. And then people would like wave their hand in there. They would do the slow hand waving thing. It was fun. It was a really fun theme song. It was kind of epic. It was almost like crunkish or trappish, you know, like that. I don't even know. Yeah, it was fun though. It was fun. And TNA. Speaking of TNA theme songs, I'm trying to think of like really good ones. I like AJ's theme song. That's like one of the best ones. Especially his original one from like 2002, 2003. In the early 2000s when TNA first started, I mean, they had some pretty good ones. Like, I thought Jeff Jarrett had a pretty good one. Do 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 do. And that has a more like anxious, kind of panicky feel to it. But with AJ, I mean, AJ had a great build-up, great progression, and it had that very trendy, I guess you could call it like rap rock, you know, to kind of like give off that, not new metal, but like rap metal. You know, it was very common for a lot of the rock musicians or rock bands that would kind of have a rapping thing to them. You know, they would rap in the lyrics. So you had bands like Papa Roach and somebody like Kid Rock. Kid Rock had like Ba with the Ba and stuff like that. So they were basically rock musicians, but they would rap in the lyrics. And with the AJ Styles' theme song, I mean, it was awesome. It was just like, you know, everybody in my life, I let that inside show from the outside. Try to do my best to pass the test. Try to show respect to the other guy. You are. I am, you are, I am. I'm just trying to remember the actual instrumental. Because I think the lyrics is a very important aspect of his theme song. It's not like with like Ultimate Warrior or Stone Cold Steve Austin, where the instrumental itself, the bass line, the hook, the melody of the actual beat, that's the iconic, like, memorable part of the song. With AJ's theme song, it's about the lyrics. So, every day in my life, I let the inside show from the outside. You are. That stuff is the memorable part of that song. So it's like I don't even have to really beatbox the stupid song, like the actual beat, you know what I mean? That's the memorable part of it. It's like that combination of the instrumental mixed in with the actual lyrics. Kind of like Bobby Roode. You know, Bobby Roode has the glorious theme song, and I mean, without the glorious singing, wannabe Freddie Mercury, you know, wannabe Queen lyrics to it, I mean, that beat would just be it would probably be unrecognizable. It wouldn't sound as familiar. It wouldn't be as epic, you know. Glorious, na 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 na, glorious. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm running out of breath already. Just talking about wrestling themes. I didn't even do that many wrestling theme music. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to think of other ones. More recent ones. I mean, they're kind of hard to do now, too, because, I mean, they're kind of difficult. The wrestling theme music now, in the 2010s, is more intricate, different, and they have a lot of influences in the modern generation. So, somebody like, you know, the freaking Enzo and Kaz. Enzo and Kaz has music that's like trappish. You know, that's like trap EDM. So that. Because you saw. You know. And that's kind of that's just overall very difficult to imitate beatbox wise, you know what I mean? So that one's hard to do. Alistair Black, I think Alistair Black has a great entrance theme song, but again, something that's kind of difficult to mimic because it's got the lyrics, the freaking rapping lyrics, you know. Not all men are created good, or no men are truly good. No men are truly evil. You know, I love the intro though. The intro is just this really epic, like. And then the guitars would kick in. No man is truly good. No man is truly evil. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah, there's another one would be Shinsuke. Shinsuke is another one that's very very difficult to imitate. But I can't even. I'm going to try to do Shinsuke Nakamura's. With Shinsuke, I mean, holy crap. Very epic. Very like electronic sounding, you know, very produced, but it's just really catchy, and it has a very poppy sound to it. Like I don't even know how to describe it, but it's got like the violins, but at the beginning, you know, it has a really cool intro. The intro would be, you know, the lights would dim and everything, and it'd be like do 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 do. Oh my god, that hurts my throat so much. Do 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 do. Dun 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 dun. And then, you know, his theme would continue. Yeah, but even that one, I can't even like really hum that one because I just don't like really remember how to hum it. You know, I know it's like oh whoa 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 whoa, but it's like very. I can't even like memorize it. I have to actually listen to the song itself, like as it's playing, for me to actually hum it. It's just not. I don't know. It's just. It's not something that I can like hum or like beatbox. It's just. I don't know. That was very difficult. It's not like, you know, like you have somebody like Goldust. The Goldust theme song is very easy. Very cool, very epic entrance theme song for such a wacky character. Goldust was very risque for the time. Like, he's not like what he is now, in the modern generation. He's very PG and he's very toned down, but back in the mid-90s, he would grope people, he would touch people's, like, chest, he would rub his hands on people's chests, he would pretend to, like, he would basically kiss people on the lips, and he would lick people, like, he would do the licking motion with his tongue, and he was very kind of perverse, like a sexually triggering kind of character to play on, I guess, people's like homophobia and people that were kind of put off by this pseudo androgynous, like, sexually, is he gay, is he not, is he a homosexual kind of thing. And so people were kind of like, ugh, Goldust, he's a creep, or he's weird, he's a sexual deviant, you know what I mean, like, ugh. And to Goldust's credit, I mean, he had that great gimmick. He had that gimmick locked down. He knew how to play that thing. I mean, he was good at pushing people's buttons, and I could already. I'm trying to cut the promo. Like, he would cut a promo. He'd be like, "Ooh, Razor Ramon, I can already feel it oozing from my pores. Before I even touch you." He would just have that, like, perverted kind of tone to his voice. Oh my God. Undertaker. I mean, I can't do Undertaker. Taker is a very slow. His theme is almost like an orchestral, classical theme song. Just very difficult to do. You know what I mean? Like, with Undertaker, I mean, Jesus, Taker is like the gongs. He would have the gongs. Dong, Ooh, dun, 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 dun. So that one is just something that you can't beatbox, you know what I mean? That's just very difficult. Oh my God. NWO, the Wolfpack. I always liked it. I was beatboxing that way back in the 90s, before I even knew about beatboxing. I would imitate that. The NWO, WCW NWO stable, they would have the Wolfpack, which was Kevin Nash, Sting with the red paint. I want to say Lex Luger was probably a part of it. Sting, Lex, Macho Man, Conan, Arriba la Raza, and all that. And Kevin Nash. I don't know, was Scott Hall a part of it? Maybe Scott Hall was also a part of it. It was different guys, but they had a really epic theme song, you know what I mean? So it would be like the Wolf theme. Woo! Dun 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 Don't turn your back on your wolf pack. You might wind up in the body bag. And then, he had the guy rapping and everything. I just loved that. It had a great vibe to it. It had a great, like, hip hop feel to it. Because, I mean, I think that was based on an older rap song that came out in the 90s. You know what I mean? Because, typical of a wrestling theme song to be based on an actual rap song. And that was based on some other, like, an actual rapper's song. I forgot what the title was called, but it was based on that. And, dun 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 dun. That part was really, really catchy. But with WCW, they never really had memorable theme music compared to WWF because of production. They didn't have the same quality production, and most of it was just like ripped off themes. A lot of it was, like grunge themes, especially from the early 90s. So they would rip off like Nirvana. They ripped off Nirvana so many times. I think like Raven had one. Raven had a cover of what was his theme? Do 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 do. The one from Come As You Are. Yeah, the Come As You Are theme. Dum dum dum. Yeah, that one. And then with freaking with DDP had the famous I think was it Smells Like Teen Spirit? Ow, down, 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 down. You know, down, down. DDP, so cool. Or is it too cool? Or is it so cool? I forget the ad libs, the little phrases, little things that he would say in the theme song. Yeah, so that's a few examples of wrestling theme music. I'm trying to think of like the connection between beatboxing and professional wrestling, and the only time that I can remember any kind of beatboxing being really presented on WWE television is I remember when Kurt Angle had a battle rap against. He was either battle rapping against John Cena or he was cutting a promo directed towards John Cena. And maybe even Cena might not have been in the same building. He wasn't in the ring, but I know that Kurt Angle was in there, and he got one of the referees. I think this was a SmackDown segment, so it was during the early 2000s SmackDown when John Cena was doing his Dr. Thugonomics gimmick when he's rapping and doing the battle rapping like 8 Mile hack gimmick. So what I'm saying, you have Kurt Angle telling the referee, "Hey referee, do your beatboxing thing. That beatboxing thing that you do it." And so this young referee, and I don't know what this referee's name was. It seems like he was only hired in this particular segment to be in this particular segment where he would beatbox. He didn't seem like one of the regular WWE referees, the ones that they would have every single week. He was just a guy that they hired for that particular segment to be a referee, fill in at that moment to do the beatboxing. So anyway, this referee, he gets a microphone, and he does the beatboxing. So he would do a basic beatbox, typical beatbox from the early 2000s. Now, just a typical like hip hop beat. He would do that beat, and the crowd was kind of getting into it. They were like nodding their head. They're like, yeah, yeah, and I think people were clapping too in the audience. And then Kurt Angle, of course, started rapping. Hey everybody, come on, yeah, come on everybody, Cena sucks. And Kurt Angle, he was just so good. He was cutting that promo and everything, and it was just a funny like segment. But that was really the only time that I saw somebody in a wrestling program do an actual beatbox in a beatbox segment. There might have been maybe some other segments here and there where maybe somebody tried to do a beatbox, maybe like Tyson Tomko. I think there was a moment where Christian was like, "Hey Tomko, drop the beat" or something like that. But I mean, that was the only time that I can really recall there was a memorable beatboxing segment in the WWE or any kind of wrestling type stuff, because it is what it is. Hip hop is not really like celebrated in the pro wrestling community, I guess, or in the wrestling world, simply because rock music is the more traditional, expected type of music and genre of music to be in wrestling. That kind of stuff like rock music and metal music and hard rock, that kind of stuff, and even like pop music and just anything to do with singing, as opposed to hip hop, as opposed to any kind of rap or hip hop or any kind of like a rugged urban type of beat, anything to do with hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So it's just not that common, and it's like the black wrestlers. So you'll have the black guys, the black athletes, and the black talent. They are often the ones that would have a rapping kind of entrance theme song. You know what I mean? So somebody rapping some kind of hip hop beat. Not all the time, but they're generally fit into that, typecasted with that kind of music. But as far as the beatboxing, because beatboxing is basically an extension of producing hip hop. You know what I mean? Hip hop beats, because that's where the term comes from. The human beatbox the word beatbox is a reference, from what I understand, it's a reference to the stereo, or the boombox, the boombox stereo system. That's the beatbox. It's something that would play the beats. It would play the hip-hop beats, or the instrumentals, the boom, pa, boom, boom, pa, boom, pa, boom, boom, pa. Like you got the typical stereotype, or an image of the 80s, especially like a hip-hop image, where you'd have the black hip-hopper guy that kind of dressed like LL Cool J with the Kangos and stuff like that, the breaker outfits, and he would carry the boombox on his shoulder, you know what I mean? So he's walking down the street and he would be carrying this boom, pa, boom, boom, pa. He'd be carrying this really big, like, stereo boombox sound system on his shoulders. So that's like an image of the 80s. That's like a typical, like a stereotype of the 1980s hip-hop scene, especially. So I guess that's where, like, like referring to something like with a beatbox, and that's what a beatbox is, or a beatboxer, a human beatboxer, is a walking stereo system, a walking sound system. So somebody like me walking down the street, I don't have a stereo system on my shoulders, I don't got a boombox, but I do a beatbox. So it's like me walking down the street, and just doing the typical hip-hop beats and stuff like that. So that particular genre of music, or that style, is not largely common in the wrestling theme world, you know what I mean? In the wrestling scene. So you don't really hear... I've never heard any person with any wrestler that comes out to a beatbox entrance theme. You know what I'm saying? That's never really happened before. And I guess it makes sense, because, I mean, when it comes to beatboxing is basically making music with your mouth. And for the most part, it's very amateurish. It just doesn't sound clean or post-produced. It doesn't feel... It's not like it was recorded in a studio with clean instruments and it sounds very nice and post-produced and packaged like any of the Jim Johnston stuff, or Dale Oliver, or anything like that. It's not like a studio production. So when somebody's beatboxing, I mean, I guess even if you record something on a recorder. So let's say I'm a wrestler and I'm recording an entrance theme song, but I'm using beatboxing. So my beatboxing entrance would be, "It's the review space, let's do it!" The review space. And I would come out, the whole crowd would be, because I would be a heel, like, yeah! I would raise my hands in the air like a badass. And that's my theme blaring in the background, just a beatbox. That just wouldn't really happen, because it doesn't sound clean. It doesn't sound like a professionally produced, well-made song. It's just me basically doing a beat, recording it. So I can understand why that's never really happened ever, you know what I mean? There's no beatboxing in wrestling, and I don't know, it's just two different worlds, It's just two separate worlds. You got the hip-hop world, which is like hip-hop music, rap music, and that incorporates like b-boying, breaking, beatboxing, graffiti, DJing, all that stuff, which is very, very urban, very black art form, African Americans, Puerto Ricans. But I mean, anybody can like hip-hop, white kids and Asian kids and Latinos, all kinds of people around the world are into hip-hop, but it comes from a more, it's a black art form, and then you have the wrestling thing, professional wrestling, which is more... I mean, again, wrestling has a lot of different fans from around the world, but you could say that stereotypically it's more of a white audience. It's more of a Caucasian Anglo-Saxon audience, or just a white American audience. And one of the stereotypes of a wrestling fan is like kind of the more redneck kind of crowd, you know what I mean? So people from the South or rednecks. So white folks that maybe are more into rock music or country music or something like that. You know, some more traditional rock music that isn't like hip hop. It's like different from hip hop. So it's not engrossed in black culture or black music, even though obviously within professional wrestling there's a lot of black wrestlers and a lot of influence from African American wrestlers as well. So it's got, you know, again, there is a lot of black and, you know, hip hop vibe to wrestling as well. I mean, John Cena is a perfect example of that, where, you know, he's not a black guy, he's a white dude that did kind of like the Eminem thing, but he does come out to a hip hop theme song. You know what I mean? And this guy's been the face of the WWE since the mid 2000s. You know what I'm saying? So this guy is, his theme song, "Your Time Is Up" or whatever, "My Time Is Now," that's a rap theme song. It freaking samples the guys who made "Cold as Ice." You know what I mean? You're as cold as, or was that rap the rap group? Oh my god, what is that rap group? MOP. They sample freaking MOP, right? You know what I mean? That up on you. If your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now. It's the franchise, you know. Cena's theme song, you know what I mean? So that samples freaking MOP. MOP is a popular black rap group from the early 2000s. So, you know, he's got that influence, he's got that hip-hop vibe to him, but there's not a lot of guys like him like that, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of, it's more like, again, going back to like the Alistair Blacks. Alistair Black has a rock, metal-ish kind of theme song, you know? He's got that theme. You got somebody like, you know, Neville. Neville would come out, he's got that rock metal riff, but a little bit would mix in with that electronica stuff, you know? I remember when Evan Bourne came in, he got the rock theme song. You know what I mean? So, for the most part, most wrestlers have a rock instrumental. So it's more, I guess for a lack of a better word, it just caters more to a more white American audience, or just a white audience that likes rock music, as opposed to a black audience that might be more into black music and hip-hop sounds, you know, even though, again, there's overlapping of different genres. There's black people that like rock music, and there's white people that like hip-hop rap beats, you know, and rap music. I mean, it's very character-driven. It depends on the character, too, because, I mean, if your character is more hip-hop based, or your character is more of a hip-hop swagger, your gimmick is more hip-hop influence. Like, for a perfect example would be the Usos. There you go. The Usos' heel theme song is very rugged and very hip-hop-ish. You know what I mean? It's got that rugged, rough kind of almost, what is it? Almost like a crunk, or a not even crunk. What the hell was it called? Is it crunk? Not even crunk. What is that dance battle thing? Oh god, crumping. There you go. That's the one. Not crunk, but crump. Crump music, which is basically that really aggressive dun 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 dun. It sounds like a really aggressive hip hop beat. So yeah, you got the Usos coming out to that, which is very hip hop ish. You know what I mean? Has a very hip hoppy vibe to it. I'm trying to think of other ones. Yeah. There's really not that many over the years. Oh man, how long has it been? 59 minutes. God damn. I've been rambling about wrestling themes for about an hour now, so I don't know, maybe I want to close it off with a wrestling theme, a wrestling beatbox theme. I'm trying to think of like a really good one. I know I'm forgetting something. I probably kick myself in the butt a little bit later. Oh, I forgot to do this theme, or I forgot to do that theme. Oh god. I almost forgot. The APA, the Acolytes Protection Agency, Farouk and Bradshaw. I'm going to close it off with this one. Alright, so here we go. Oh wait, no, I forgot to do the damn at the beginning. I just messed it up. I effed up. My bad. Because he says damn at the beginning, when it became exclusive to Ron Simmons. He would do the damn like, damn! And then... Good song. Very iconic. They were a good team. I like them. Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna end it off with that. Maybe I wanted to do like some other theme songs, but I just can't think of them right now. And that's it for this episode 2 of Beatbox Sessions, the only beatbox podcast on the YouTubes by TheReviewSpace. So, hey, you know what? Hopefully more episodes coming soon. That's it, you guys. Until next time. Peace.